Good evening, class. I know you'll be watching this in the morning or it's either in the evening. So, good evening in the morning. So, tonight I'm going to discuss to you about the pelvic girdle of male and the female pelvic girdle. Okay, especially we will focus on the bony structure and other connective tissues. When you say connective tissues, we're talking about the ligaments that connects the two bones and the joints as well, because during our live discussion we'll be discussing more on the muscles, so that will not be delayed. Muscles, nerves, those will be the focus of our discussion. At the same time, not only that, we will also discuss the if you can touch also the knees, especially the knee joint. Okay, so let's go now to the bones. Okay, so the pelvic girdle is different from the shoulder girdle, because in the shoulder girdle it's only the clavicle that connects it to the axial skeleton. Without the clavicle, then your shoulder girdle would be just there, hanging, and no connections or no strong connections to the axial skeleton. But here in the pelvic girdle, we have a strong connections to the axial skeleton, which is the sacroiliac joint. Okay, SI joint. Sacroiliac joint is formed by the union of the sacrum. Okay, I'm going to hide these ligaments first. It's union of the sacrum and the ilium. This is your sacroiliac joint, no? Kada this one ang lining ani. Okay, so sacrum is part of the axial skeleton because it is still part of your vertebral column. So don't be misled that when you say the iliac is connected with the sacrum and they form the sacroiliac, then it is part of the pelvic girdle. No, it is part of the axial skeleton. It is not part of the appendicular skeleton. Okay, so this is the ilium. So if you notice, this is the pelvic girdle. So in the other side we have the two, you have the two structure, two ilium, the left and the right ilium. Then it is connected down here. Now this is now your this is your ischium, okay, or we call this as the sit bone, Then this is the ischium of the other side. Then you have your pubis. This is the pubis. So kanang diri sa puso nimo nga gahi diri sa taas, kung asa ang pubic hair nag-grow dapat, it is your pubis, pubic bone. Okay, now it is connected and anteriorly, the two pubis is connected anteriorly by a symphysis. Now symphysis is a type of joint. Okay, so in our body we have joint is classified according to its can be classified according to its function, according to its structure, and according to its degree of movement. So symphysis joint or pubis symphysis is a slightly movable type of joint, or that is what we call slightly movable kung akto siyang i-classify according to the axis of movement, that is ampiarthrosis or slightly movable. Kaya ang diarthrosis, that is freely movable. Then your synarthrosis is your immovable type of joint. Okay? Kung i-classify na to siya according to structure, okay, so there are three classification of the joints according to structure. So you have your the fibrous joints, the cartilaginous, and synovial. So kani sila, ang fibrous joint makita na siya diri sa suture, no? It is immovable type of joint. Then you have your fibrous joint is cartilaginous type of joint that is slightly movable, no, or that is your ampiarthrosis, and your synovial, which is the freely movable or your diarthrosis. Okay, so inana siya. So ng pubic symphysis is nga joint inabilong na siya sa ampiarthrosis or slightly movable and cartilaginous type of joints. Now, why it is called cartilaginous? Because it is united by a cartilage, no? So the joint is, the two bones is united by a cartilage. That cartilage is called the symphysis, this one, the center. That is your pubic symphysis. Okay? Okay, so inana na siya. Okay, so you have your pubic symphysis at the back or the posterior. You have your sacroiliac joint. The sacroiliac joint is a it's a synovial type of joint. It is a freely movable type joint because it allows your sacrum to move in your ilium. Hindi siya ga-allow siya na. So it is a slightly movable type of joint. Not it is a synovial joint. No. Okay, so this is your let me try this one. So this is the anterior view of your sacroiliac. I'm going to remove also the other side. Then this is the anterior view of your sacroiliac. This is the iliac or the ilium. This is the sacrum. So nag-form is like this eye joint or sacroiliac joint. Okay, so let's go now with the parts of the parts of your ilium. So this is the parts of the ilium here. That is your axis or your anterior superior iliac spine, which is palpable. No, mapalpate na nimo kung if you're going to touch your pelvis on the side, you can palpate it easily. Nagaburot na siya, no? Okay, then you have also here your your anterior inferior iliac spine. So this is your AIIS, no? Kadiri sa taas is axis, anterior superior iliac spine. No, unsay may mga purpose na yung mga processes is for attachment of the muscles and ligaments as well. Then here at the back, this is your PCs. This is your PIS or PIS. Okay, so posterior inferior iliac spine. This is the posterior superior iliac spine or the pieces. Again, it serves as attachment of muscles and ligaments. No, kani dara siya. Okay, then we have here kani, this is your sciatic notch, and later on kung nana siya ligaments, it forms a sciatic foramen. No, kay nana siya ligaments nga mag-connect diri gikan sa PIIS or posterior inferior iliac spine. Mo connect na siya diri sa imong ischium, forming now in an opening here which we call sciatic foramen. Sciatic notch, or we call that. So mahimo na siyang foramen later on. Okay, so kanang notch niya. Now if we are going to move here on this side, so we have here another one. This is the ilium. That is the tubercle of the iliac crest. This is found at the back on the slightly lateral, just about mga 2 to 3 fingers from your pieces, no, from your axis rather, anterior superior iliac spine. Then this one, the blue one, this is your iliac crest of the ilium. So kana siyang sa kilid diri sa likod nimo magunitan, no? Siyang bukog. Diri sa imong batang bitaw na igahi dira, no? Nga nagapaingon sa lateral side, that is your iliac crest. So that serves as attachment also of muscles such as latissimus dorsi, internal oblique, transversus abdominis, okay, tensor fasciae lata, and external oblique. So nakata sila. Okay. So inana siya, no? Ang pieces. So now that is your pieces. That is your ilium. Now let's go to your this one. This is your pubis. And so may parts is pubis. So dagan na siyang part, no? So we have here the pubic crest, no? Kana siyang haita sa tubang. Okay. Then you have your pubic tubercle. So that is attachment of the muscles. So naakay nani ang ihang ramay, no? Again, attachment is siya sa ligaments, tendons, or sometimes it serves as boundary also of the structures that passes that area. Okay, then you have here your body of the pubis, no? So in here I will just reserve that. We were going to discuss that later. Here we have your inferior rami, which again the attachment of the muscles. So okay, now let's go to this one. This is the ischium. Okay, this is now the ischium. So I have here the very prominent part of the ischium, which is the ischial tuberosity. No, kanang ischial tuberosity kana bitang molingkod ka nya mo na siya naga patong dito sa imuhang bangko, no? Pumulingkod ka. So sakit. Imong lubot magdugay kag lingkod. Okay, so we call that ischial tuberosity. Now that's why the ischium is also called the sit's bone, no? Or the sit bone. It is the bone where we sit on. Okay, so inana siya. Then this is the rami, or the branch of your ischium. It's the body, no? Okay. Now let's go to this part. Okay, now this is what we call the acetabulum. Now the acetabulum is a hollow or concavity where the head of the femur articulates in order to form the hip joint. So siya no naka-attach. Okay, so ang acetabulum class is a hollow opening wherein there's a contribution of all the bone of the pelvic girdle, no? So na contribution ang tulo ka bones sa pelvic girdle, ang ilium, ang pubis ug ang ischium. So together they fuse and they form this acetabulum. Okay, so this is now your acetabulum. So kung tanaw nimo murag cup na siya, no? Pero na ay dili siya complete na cup, no? Na ay sa ilungag gamay. Okay, now that opening allows a degree of mobility of your ball and socket joint. Okay, so that is the acetabular fossa, which is part of your part of your ischium, no? Then so kung ato ni siyang tanawon na naapod na siya dire, no? Again, that is a acetabular fossa, which part of the pubis can contribute, no? Then exita na kani, then at the same time, that is the acetabular fossa. So if you notice, ang pinakadako nga part nga gi-contribute diri is this pubis, no? Ang pubis mo na pinakadako nga part nga gi-contribute sa imong acetabular fossa. Okay, so inana siya. So inana ang pelvis. So this is a male pelvis. Yan isa sa lalaki. Linya alba, that is the linya alba. Okay, yan isa sa lang anong nakaingon man tangay sa lalaki. Okay, atong tanawon kani. So basically, kani siya, ang shape ani is more on circular, no? Or in some book they call it that is more on heart shape actually. Okay, gaana na siya dira. Ano, kani mo niya ang linya niya is gaana. Paingon dira. So heart shape ang pelvic opening niya or inlet. Okay. So inana ko netong tanawon ang sa babae, ana lahi, no? Ang iyang pelvis ani is more on, ako lang na pangwaon ng mga round ligament nga nag-hold sa imong ovary, sa imong matrix, no? So panipot nag-suspend na siya, no? So matrix, excuse me. So So kung mo tanawon, ang shape ani niya is lahi siya kay sa lalaki, because ang shape ani niya sa babae is more on oblong, no? Oblong siya, oval shape. At the same time, ang kanipod, ang iyang ilium, instead niya, ang sa lalaki magod more vertical, ang sa babae it's more on horizontal, naga-flare na siya, ano. So ang sa lalaki ana man ang position aning pelvic yang ihang iliac crest, no? Iliac crest niya is more on vertical, tindog diri. Mo na sa babae is more on lateral ana siya. Kay nga naman to give space sa baby. So that's why dagko sila og mga hips, no, ang babae, because of the position of the pelvis. Nga nakainana siya, naka-flare ang iyang iliac crest. Okay, that's to give space sa baby to carry on. Kung buntis mo siya para makiring niya. Now, so ang iyang shape diri, again, more on oblong, oval shape. Ang sa lalaki, more circular or heart shape, no? So inana. Now, unsa pagkikalainan nila? Okay. Ilang kalainan nala, let's take a look at the diri sa lateral side. Okay, diri na siya ma-appreciate nga view sa lateral side. Okay, kana siya, makita na nato ang coccyx. Okay. Now sa lalaki, kani yung coccyx, it points anteriorly. So ang outlet niya, kung i-relative na to diri sa anterior nga view, ang iyang outlet na atong tan-awon ana diri sa taas ato ang tanawon diri sa taas kay tungod nagapoint siya anteriorly, gamay ang agyanan sa bata, very small. We call that the pelvic outlet, no? Gamay siya. So siyempre ang laki di man manganak, no? Mabahi man. So inana. Now ang sa lalaki kani siya, ang sa babayi ang kaning ihang kani, it points posteriorly. So medyo kani siya, it moves here somewhere, no? Medyo may pagka straight ni siya, dili siya naga-curve ana. So posteriorly gamay ga flare. Ang purpose na niya is to provide more space sa imuhang, or to increase the diameter of your pelvic outlet kung asa mo agi ang bata. Okay, so inana na siya. So this is now your sacrum. This is the coccyx. Okay, so naka-attach na siya dira. So naka-fuse na siya into one, no? Manang ginatawag na siyang sacrococcygeal. So inana. Then we have here the this is now the samana kani. This is the femur. The femur is the longest and the largest bones of the body. So kanang imong paa mo na siya imong femur. Okay, so manay kuan. So kani siya, these are ligaments, no? Kani ligaments na siya. It is iliofemoral ligament. The iliofemoral ligament connects the pelvis to the femur, which makes the hip joint stabilize, no? To make the ball and socket more stable in its socket para di siya ma-dislocate. Okay. Then you have also your pubofemoral ligaments. Again, they are for stabilization of the joints, but not really that stabilized because it needs also to provide a degree of movement, no? Kay base niya kukot na gikaya niya wala di nakaka-move ang imong hip, no? Kay ball in socket pag na siya. Tapos it's a diarthrosis or a freely movable type of joint with 3 degrees of freedom, which means it can move in 3 axes: flexion, extension, abduction, sa pagyod medial and lateral rotation. So nana. So let's take an example, no? Tindog ko nani. So if I move my hip like that, that is flexion. That one is, if I move it backward like that, that is extension. So if I move my legs like that, that is from here going there, that is abduction. Then from here going down, that's adduction. Okay, so flexion, extension of the hip, no? Hip, we are talking about the hip joint, not the knee, ha? Hip. Okay, so ang medial rotation is igo na siya mo ana. That is medial. Why medial? Because the head of the femur moves medially. Then this is lateral. So inana. So takyan binabayi, that is medial rotation. Takyan li na laki, external rotation of the hip. Mara na siya para sa iyo nato mahinumduman. Okay. So let's try to hide the ligaments and look at the parts of the femur. So this is the parts of the femur. So you have here the head of the femur, this one. This is the head, this is the neck, this is the greater trochanter, this is the lesser trochanter, this is the intertrochanteric line. Kani intertrochanteric line that connects the greater and the lesser troch. It is a fossa. Okay, now sa pay other parts niya. So tanaw natin siya sa anterior. So this is the shaft of the femur. Here we have the medial condyle and we have the lateral condyle. So it's easy to identify the medial and the lateral condyle because the medial condyle is slightly bigger and longer compared to the lateral, no? So kanya siya, dako siya. Then ang imuhang lateral condyle medyo gamay siya. So at the back here we have the popliteal surface. There is a back of the knee na siya, no? Then you have here the that is medial supracondylar ridge. So this is the posterior view, likod. Okay, that is the posterior view. So medial supracondylar line, then this is the lateral supracondylar line, then this is your linea aspera at the back, which serves as attachment of the insertion of the gluteus maximus, attachment of the adductor magnus, no? So mga insertion siya dra in some origin pod, no, sa muscles. Okay, so inana, so mo ni siyang femur, hindi nato ikalimtan ang nawong, inana siya. Okay, so nasa ulo-ulo mo ni siya yung nag-articulate dito sa acetabulum. Sa acetabulum. Okay, so daanan na siya, mo na siyang head, mo na siyang acetabulum, dana. Okay, so forming now the ball and socket. This is the head of the femur serves as the ball and the acetabulum serves as the socket. Okay, so inana siya. Okay, nato na ikalimtan. Okay, now let's go to the knee. This is now the knee. So sa knee, we have here the patella. No, tuway-tuway sa tuhod na to. Patella, we call that as patella. Tuway-tuway. Now, patella is a sesamoid bone. Sesamoid bone because it develops from a na-develop na siya sa soft tissue, no? Sa soft tissue sa ato ang quadriceps tendon. Nag-ossify ang bukog unya nahimo siyang nigahi, no? So kung butangan nato nag muscles, tanaw na to so this is now your quadriceps. Na siya patella. So gikan na siya sa sulod sa tendon, no? Ang purpose ng patella, it serves as a lever system. I know some of you are very familiar with this, no? Kaya sa science, ginagamit man ng lever system para to move an object efficiently in a very small amount of force, pwede siya, no? Or to carry a greater amount of load with a little exertion. Diba? Mo na say purpose, no? Para magamit at magawa siya nga dako ang imong mechanical advantage, no? So sa body na to, natay tulo ka klase pud sa lever system, no? It's not only applicable in engineering, construction, or whatever. Ang atong body, we are created by God, which is a greatest engineer, not only a physician, not only a healer, but He's also an engineer ang atong Ginoo. That's how wonderful God is. So He creates our body. It was designed to have this three lever system to make it efficient in producing movement in order for us to be carried from one point to another. So kumpleto na siya, di ba? Na 3 class sa lever 1, 2, 3, no? Wherein when we go na sa kinesiology, ato nang i-discuss ng liver system specifically. Basta kinatay tulo ka liver system. Ang isa ka liver system, maka-produce siya o greater movement but with much greater effort, no? Kaya ang iyahang liver arm is mubo, near siya sa axis of rotation, pero ang iyang kwan dako kay ang movement niya ma-produce, no? So that's another lever. Ang isa ka lever, layo tuod siya sa axis of rotation. Ang iyang lever arm taas bali, so ang mahitabo sa gamay lang nga effort maka-move siya og dako kaayo nga load. So di na pud siya lever 2. A lever ay saka lever nga it is just for counterbalancing, ano, to provide equilibrium lang yun sa para dili lang mag-move ang isa ka object, steady ra siya, no, para balance lang, no, na ang effort arm ug ang imong load is equal lang. So para mas steady ra gid siya. So kompleto na, no, tulo ka lever system na present sa atong body. Unsay ginagamit niya because it either uses the sesamoid or bony prominences to produce this lever. Even na po na siya torque, ano, ang atong body na siya torque na gina-produce ang muscles when it contracts. That instead of producing a translational force, it produces a rotational force that produces rotational movement. Dili lang sa translation. Sa kinesiology, it will be discussed thoroughly. Okay, so this is the sesamoid bone. No? Patella is a sesamoid bone. So it changes the direction of the force when the muscle contracts. So inana siya, no, kanindot niya. So it doesn't only act as a lever, but it also acts as a pulley. No? So it develops intramembranously. So nag-ossify siya gikan sa membrane. Okay, now let's remove the muscle. Okay, na siya. Okay. So inan ay siya ang posisyon na ana siya dira. Okay, so here ibagay na mo na siya imuhang quadriceps tendon. Kana quadriceps tendon na siya, no? Naka-insert na siya sa tibial tuberosity. So here makita nato, no, na yung mga ligaments pod, no? Kani siya nga ligaments that is found in the middle, so we call it as a medial collateral ligament. It stabilizes the knee and prevents varus stress. When you say varus stress, kung na-stress gikan sa gawas, no, duso niya dili mawiwi pananglitan ani, no, na-stress nga i-apply sa bigas, dili siya mo ana mubuka sa tunga. Okay, naman siya ligaments. Then you have your lateral collateral ligament. Okay, LCL, no? Kana pareha na sila og purpose, pero on opposite side lang ang imong lateral collateral ligament. Okay, but then what are the other structures pa aside nang naadra ang patella? So actually sa ni pareha sa elbow na siya ay duwa pud siya ka joints, di lang siya kay isa. Yung sa knee, no? Sa elbow tulo, di ba? You have your humero-ulnar and humero-radial o radio-ulnar joint, proximal radio-ulnar. Diri siya duwa na siya ay tibiofemoral, no, kay tibia raman na siya ga-articulate sa imong femur, wala man na siya ang imong fibula, wala na siya ga-articulate. So then you have your patellofemoral joint, no? Ang patella wala na siya dito sa tibia, nag-articulate dito siya sa femur, so patellofemoral joint. So now ang knee joint is also a synovial joint. So nasa synovium, nasa fluid nga sulod, and then it's a freely movable type of joint with one axis or 1 degrees of freedom. Means it moves only in one direction. It's either flexion or extension. So kani ana siya. So kani siyang type sa joint is also known as hinge type of joint. Parihara na sila sa imong elbow, na hinge, flexion, extension. Although some say nga na siya slight rotation, especially on the last 5 degrees of ni extension na sa terminal rotation dira, but tibial rotation dira, pero dili man kay na siya negligible man kay gamay ra. Ang purpose natin niya is for locking mechanism of them. Okay, now we are going to remove these. So aside from these two collateral ligaments, the lateral and the medial collateral ligament, kanang medial, napa na siya structure sa ilalom sa imuhang ilalom sa imuhang in between sa tibia and sa femur, no? Kani, this is your meniscus. Okay, so you have lateral meniscus and medial meniscus. Now, para asa man ang meniscus? Actually, meniscus proparihan siya sa acetabular labrum o sa tang labrum dito sa scapula, glenoid labrum. Ang purpose ng meniscus is to make the two bones congruent to each other. When you say congruent is haom gid siya ba, no? Haom. Aside from that, it serves also as a cushion, and it also reduces friction, no? During movement, no? Friction between the two surfaces of the bone, no? between the femur and the tibia. So inana siya. So it makes the two bones congruent to each other or fit, para ma-fit yun siya. Then it serves as a cushion. So para kung butangan nimo bugat dili mag-ana gid ka bukog. And then it's also serve as a a lubricant that makes the movement smooth, no, in the knee, no, na joint. So ato siyang tanawon. Okay, sa shape ana nila. Ako ni siyang i-remove lang, class. Okay, so tanawon na to siya. So this is now, what happened? Okay. Okay. So this is the shape of your meniscus. So this is the medial meniscus and this is the lateral. So if you notice, ang shape sa medial meniscus is a C shape. C shape siya. Then ang imuhang lateral is O shape or circular, no? Na-purpose na siya kay ano naman, ang imuhang medial meniscus medyo taas magud siya. So no, kung medial meniscus, medial condyle. So ibalik na to siya tanan. So ang medial condyle magud nimo, katay mo tanawon, ako to sa i-remove na yung patella. If you're going to take a look at your medial meniscus, medyo taas siya, di ba? So ang iya pod point siya dito sa edge. So sa edge man siya dapit nagpoint ng kaninga portion. So kinahanglan dito sa edge at dito na siya magglidean katong iyang tumoy, no? Katong edge pod sa imuhang edge sa imong tibia. Manang dito siya dapit nagbutang og meniscus. Para dito siya na siya maagyanan dito nga dili mag-articulate siya diretso sa bukog. Pero ang kini kun imong sa tanaw siya, ang tip ani imuhang lateral condyle is much circular. So that's why ang imuhang lateral meniscus medyo circular po siya, no, para mo fit siya dito mo haom. So inana kan nindot ang Ginoo mo construct sa ato ang lawas, no? It's very specific, no? So tanaw nimo mo na ihang shape. So ana. Now anyway, meniscus class is a vascular. When you say a vascular gani, means absent, di ba? Ito sa ato ang sa ato ang midterm medical terminology. Avascular siya. So wala siya blood vessel. So how does it maintain its nourishment? Nag-maintain lang siya nourishments by simple diffusion. So how does the simple diffusion facilitated in the extracellular fluid? Now it is facilitated through movements. So more movement of the knee, kung imo siyang piko-pikoon pirmi, then the meniscus is keep nourished. So no movement or less movement, less nourishment. So inana ra siya. So dali mag-deteriorate kung less ang movement niya. So manang kinana molecular kita mo backline, di ra ta magsigig lingkod, no? So inana siya. Okay, aside from that, okay, ako need to put back the bone. Aside from the meniscus, naapa siya other structures nga na-address sa knee within the knee joint. So may mga other structures nga naa sa knee joint. Okay, nani. Kani sa likod, tanaw na to. We can find here. Okay, so this is your posterior cruciate. Kung imong tanawon, ang imong posterior, ang end sa imong posterior cruciate have the same attachment with the lateral meniscus. No, inyong tumoy. No, naka-attach po dito. So, inana siya dira. Okay, then we have here, kani, this is your anterior cruciate ligament. Unsa may purpose anang ligament? Ang purpose ng anterior cruciate ligament is to prevent anterior translation of the tibia. So pananglitan, gadagan ka, no? Pagdagan nimo, pag-asa nimo sa imong tiil, pag extend niya ana, no? Ana nimo ang tiil, para dili siya mo sobra sa tuhod nimo, nga modagan po dito forward na siya ay nag-hold nga suman. Especially kung naka-plant siya, no? Na siya ay nag-hold nga, nagapugong niya nga dili siya mo slide anteriorly, no? Or ma-move forward. Kaya kung matanggal na siya, maputol ng cruciate nimo, wala, unstable na ang knee. So every time you take a step, pag extend sa itili mo, ang tiil mong tiil katulibag-bag na sa paingon, dili siya mo move sa into one direction. So ana, importante na siyang cruciate ligament, posterior and anterior. Ang posterior, it prevents also posterior displacement of the femur, of the tibia from the femur. So ana siya. So para dili posterior displaced ang imuhang tibia from the femur, especially during walking and running. So inana. So duha na siya kabuok, no? Anterior cruciate and posterior cruciate. So this is the anterior. Ang anterior cruciate naka-attach na siya dito sa tibial plateau going to the lateral condyle, no? Dire. Kung nato tanawon kana mo niyang attachment dire sa dira ang attachment sa imuhang ani lateral condyle sa femur, while ang posterior cruciate kani attach na siya dira sa medial condyle sa femur. Gikan siya diri sa kani nga part sa tibia, kani siyang tanawon, gikan ani nga part sa diri nga part sa tibia. Intercondylar area. So, sa may part sa tibia now, kaya na naman ta, diri lang proximal part lang atong i-discuss. Sa may part sa tibia. So, mo ni siya part sa tibia class. So, kani, you have here your lateral tibial condyle, which again nag-articulate na siya sa imuhang lateral medial condyle of the femur. Then you have your medial condyle of the tibia, which articulate with the medial condyle of the femur. So kani, you have here the tibia tubercle, no, intercondylar eminence. So kana siya. Okay, so then we have here the tibial tuberosity, which serves the attachment of the quadriceps muscle. So inan na siya ang part sa tibia. Gamay ra. It's very small. Kani attachment na siya sa muscle, sa soleus. Okay, so dira ratataman class. So those are the bony prominence and joints that makes up the hip and or the pelvic girdle, the hip joint, and the knee. So the knee joint. So tomorrow we will discuss the muscles, the nerves, the actions in the movements, and the veins, the arteries, blood vessels. So during our virtual class. Okay, so we will proceed directly to the muscles para makover na to. Okay, so good evening and good night. May you have a wonderful sleep, and please continue on studying your lessons in human anatomy and physiology. Thank you.